my sound preferences are. I like bass. And if it can have quantity and quality, yeah, I'm rocking it. Especially mid bass. I like the slam over the sub bass rumble. I like my mids super clean. Not a big fan of overly colored, overly thick, overly warm mids. Not a big fan of that. And highs that are very sweet and seem to be able to keep up without ever being overbearing or in your face. So okay, bit of a strange one today. I'm going to be talking to you about the Hiby Digital Xeno, and you may have heard a little bit about this. This is the hybrid IEM with the new Cowl X Memes driver. So it's going to be a bit of a strange one. It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. It's going to sound in some parts as quite critical. It's going to sound in some parts quite critical, and it is. And in other parts, I think you should follow this video to the end if you can, because there is some really, really interesting stuff going on with this set. I've only seen one other review out. I wouldn't call it a review. I'd call it more of a puff piece. As Hiby has asked the people who got these samples to put this video out. I'll first say that it's a good thing this is crowdfunded. This set is $99, or it's going to be $99, so it's not going to be terribly expensive. But it's not ready for prime time yet, as the shooting of this video, September 21st, 2024. So let's get into this thing. It's called the Xeno. Packaging is really simple. I'm not going to get into that. Doesn't really matter. Let's get into the gist, the meat of this video. Now, this is quite an interesting little guy. So let me unplug it here and pull it out from my testing rig. I'm going to pull up a picture later, and I'm into this $99 set my time for about 14 hours now. Never happened before. If I were billing that at my rate at $200 an hour, this is a pretty damn expensive IM for my time. So it comes in these little resin shells. It's a non-detachable cable. There it is there, nice and small. Very small, actually. Left and right is labeled the Xeno with, and now here comes some criticism. This SPC cord, while I'm sure it's very durable, is incredibly stiff and microphobic. which is the bottom part. The top part is a smaller, softer, more flexible, and it has these rubber ear hooks, which are great. They're actually very comfortable and very flexible, but they're non-detachable because inside of this Hiby digital Xeno controller is 4 function keys. So the play pause with the LED, which does show you some sampling rates, the function key, and I'll touch base with that, and up and down, so volume as well. It's not bad. It is a little bit bigger. It is placed nicely, so that part was good. And on the end, of course, it's only one kind of connection, and that is a USB-C. So newer iPhone users, Android users, computer users, as long as you have a USB-C or an adapter, you're good to go. Inside, and this is what's getting into the interesting stuff, other than the Xmemes driver, is dual amps and dual DACs. So here they're using an ES9018C2M, and they're also using a Cirrus Logic. So the different drivers get a different DAC and to sculpt its sound, and different power amplifiers, separate power amplifiers. One of the things in the research that I was doing was, I also found that was quite interesting, is it uses digital electronic crossovers, not passively done inside of the IM. And that is one of the ways, how I was going to say that this thing is so incredibly flexible. Okay. Now, that dynamic driver it's a graphene driver, and it's absolutely standout. It's a custom driver for Hiby, maybe made by Hiby, because they say they do everything in-house. Well, not the Xmemes, but I think they get this exclusive driver made for them. And it's a 10mm dynamic driver. And the Xmemes has actually got a name. It's called Cowl, right? Put a name to the face, there you go. And it's a solid state memes driver. That's what's making the set special. Inside you will find, in this 3D cavity, you will find a 3D printed housing to mount the cowl, and also create a separate chambers, acoustic chambers for both of the drivers. So there is some serious engineering and thought that went into this. Speaking with the boys at Hiby, it sounds like this project has been on the books and in the works for quite some time, and I can understand that the bean counters are saying, get this stuff out. Crowdfunding has started September 15th, and make it go. And so when I say that this isn't ready for prime time, I kind of want to make this point. This is Hiby we're talking about. I don't think it's a fly-by-night company. If there's one company that actually comes out, listens to people, and puts out regular updates and software, Hiby I think you can count on. Now, if you're thinking about putting your $100 towards this crowdfunded IM, I think you're pretty safe that the end product you're going to get is pretty good. And I said that a bit with the Shanling M1 Plus about the future software, and I'm pretty confident that's going to happen too. But man, the blowback from people was a bit surprising. So I'm telling you straight up off the bat that this is not a puff piece. This is saying this is $100. And I'm going to tell you why you should. And that's coming up into... Before we go there, bear with me. This next part is a little bit negative. And this has to do with the there's the yin and the yang. So the yin is, okay, they have this whole PEQ program for Windows or Mac. I don't have a Mac, but I understand they have a Mac version of this. But the Windows version, the PEQ, Hiby PEQ software tool, and I'll pull up a screenshot of my desk and what I had to do in order to get to here. So first of all, the stock tuning is horrific. And when I listened to it, I reset it today after another firmware update, and it's like, oh my God, the bass is just mushy and there is nothing going on up top. This is blah. And then I thought to myself, well, the other night when I was listening to this thing, it was standout, fantastic when I finally got to load it with my PEQ settings. And sure enough, I plugged it back into this thing, and somehow it lost its memory, maybe from the wipe or from me switching those buttons. Oh God! And I reloaded my PEQ settings and went, okay. Now I know why everything, what I'm talking about later in this video, is so damn special about this set. So this software, okay, so I have two laptops on this picture, right? One on my left has the Squig Link, so my Squig Link, and here I generate the auto EQ PEQ settings. Then I take those settings and I bring them over to my other laptop where I plug them into the PEQ tool from Hiby. Now here's the problem. And I also have, I'm fortunate enough to have a testing rig with a microphone, and I use RU software. So you can see that in the background. So here's the problem. I take those PEQ settings, which should just be plug and play, put them into the PEQ software, which at this point made me lose all of my hair. Look at this. This was black 2 days ago, and now it's gray. And I couldn't get this. If I wanted and I put a lot of feedback towards Hiby, so this is going to help the final product, I'm sure. That right now the PEQ is limited to only 20 hertz, but I need, or 30 hertz minimum, and I need 20 hertz to balance off a little bit more of this curve. So I could share. So it's challenging. So in the software you say, okay, I want 220 hertz, right, according to the PEQ thing over here, but I can't get it. There's a place to type it, but it doesn't allow me to do. So then there's a slider, but you can get close. You're not 220, you might be 256, whatever, but it's still throwing you off. Now here's the problem. You throw it on, you load in that PEQ settings onto the Xeno, and then you would think that's good to go. So then I test it, I measure it, and it's like, wait a second, that didn't do what that's supposed to do over there. Really, what the hell is going on? And so then you basically have to, okay, well, those PEQs will get you close in the auto EQ for Squig Link. And then over here, you're basically manipulating, you're fooling around, and then I'm retesting the sound to what's really happening with the PEQ settings. So I don't know what the final software of this is going to look like. So right now, that's what it took me so incredibly long to just get to this point. Now, here's a graph of stock tuning versus my tuning and what I came up with. And I'll show you that. And now, my PEQ settings do sound brilliant. I fantastic. And I pushed the dynamic driver to its limits to see what it can do. A few songs. We're going into sound now. This Xeno actually follows the source extremely well. And if there's a poorly recorded track, man, it's gonna play back poorly recorded music. If the bass is not well recorded, it's showing you that. So it's a very revealing $100 little beastie. And once I EQ'd it to this, everything came alive. So I was more than underwhelmed, and I'm glad I spent the time and this extra time to work with this thing a bit more, and I didn't quite give up, though I wanted to, because that's a lot of time. But once I did that, the special sauce that came out of Cowl was absolutely mind-blowing, and I don't know where I've heard about X-Memes before and the potential, and I did read a white paper about it, about what it does differently, but I can't remember. So let's talk about sound. Now, really, I can't tell you too much more about how this thing sounds with musical playback and stuff like that, because it's so moldable, adaptable, PEQable, EQable, crossoverable, that it's mind-blowing. And again, there's an integration coming, I understand, for the Hiby app, and though it's not ready yet, you can also share your PEQ, load different EQs, save EQ profiles, but you can share them to your DAP through a QR code that way. And I'm not really sure how that's going to work yet. But if I pull up this graph here, now this is my final kind of tuning, it doesn't really matter, because wow, oh wow, this thing doesn't sound like that graph. Here you would look like it would be very warm, lots of mid bass, no depth or bass extension, very nice pinnerise, and that drop off, and it doesn't look like it has very much highs or extension, but that whatever is my microphone can't pick up what my ears pick up, and this is what's happening. And I will describe, and this is the extremely exciting part, and why you should maybe think about putting $100 in. It's worth it for this listen, okay? And this is what what Cowl is doing over the best BA you've ever heard. And this is a generalization, of course, just to make my point. So I said, in comparison, it sounds, the best BA you've ever heard sounds lo-fi. Like it has glare, like it has a metallic sheen, BA timbre to the worst degree. And Cowl sounds like you just upgraded your tape player, magnetic tape player from 1984 to an SACD player, run through a tube preamp on some Wilson Watt Puppy speakers, powered and driven by the biggest Krell power amplifiers money can buy. That is what the mids and highs do to me, for me, on Cowl, on this X-Memes driver. It is really something to listen to. The clarity, the way it just presents music is like just taking the blanket off of in front of your speakers and just opening up. The stage is also doing some really funky stuff, like hard to describe, actually, and that I'm not normally having a loss for words. You have to listen to it to understand. I think you should be excited for this tech. And my conclusion for this set really is, though I think Hiby is rushing this to market a little bit, a lot, and the crowdfunding is a bit, I don't understand it. This software is not ready. The PEQ loading is not ready. That function button that's on this thing here is supposed to either reload multiple PEQ profiles or either have like a bass setting or a jazz setting or something like that that's preset, but it's not working. And it's not at this point, not at the time of this review. Kills me when I see puff pieces on stuff like this that they don't talk about any of these things, and you're not a reviewer. You're just an infomercial. And there's another video coming up after this one. And that's going to be my absolute most important video I've ever done. And that's it for this set. Keep it on your radar. If you're going to be an early adopter, I think it's pretty safe that with Hiby, that they're going to give you a finalized product. I'm not sure exactly when this is supposed to actually get into people who have paid the $100 hands. But I think when it does come out, it'll be in a lot better, simpler form. Since I've had it in the last, I don't know, I guess months, 2 months, there has been multiple software updates and software and firmware updates. So Hiby Digital is working actively to get this thing right, and I think they will. So that's my review of the Hiby Digital Xeno.